Have you ever wondered how a pretty standard software product evolves into this massive open ecosystem where developers can just build almost anything they can dream up? Well, the secret sauce, the key ingredient, is this really powerful concept called domain events. So for the next few minutes, we're going to break down how this one idea can completely transform a closed system into a dynamic, flexible platform that just breathes innovation. At its heart, this is all about empowerment. See, an open platform gives you the building blocks, not just some finished product that you can't change. The whole goal is to make sure that you, the developer, are never, ever boxed in by our default settings. You get the freedom to code your perfect solution while still using all the powerful, stable parts of the system that already work great for you. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the why. What's the big picture goal of an open platform? Then we'll dive right into the what, the events that really make it all tick. We'll break down the anatomy of a good event, show you how to use them, and then, at the end, we'll tie it all together to show you how this whole pattern just unlocks true innovation. Okay, first things first. What exactly are we even shooting for when we talk about building an open platform? What does that really mean? A truly open platform gives developers 5 key superpowers. You can interact with it using an API, you can extend its functionality, you can replace parts of it with your own stuff, and you can customize how it behaves. But that 5th one, the ability to react, well, that's the real game changer. Being able to build logic that kicks in automatically when something important happens, that's what we're focusing on today. This slide pretty much shows you the before and after. On the left, you've got polling. That's your app, just constantly hammering the server. Anything new? How about now? Anything new yet? It's just noisy. It's inefficient. It's slow. But on the right, you have reacting. The platform just gives your app a gentle tap on the shoulder and says, hey, just so you know, something important just happened. It's instant, it's super efficient, and it lets you build these incredibly responsive applications. So, how do we get this almost magical ability to react? Well, the whole thing is built on one fundamental concept: events. So what in the world is a domain event? Think of it like a public service announcement. It's just a simple message that broadcasts that a meaningful business moment has occurred, something that actually changed the state of the system. And here's the critical part. Events are the only way for an application to react to changes without resorting to that clunky, inefficient polling we just talked about. And this brings us to what I'd call a golden rule. Events are not some optional extra you sprinkle on at the end. They have to be a core part of your API design from day one. You've got to expose every single meaningful lifecycle event, even if you yourself don't have an immediate use for it. Why? Because I guarantee you someone else will. This is how you build for the unknown. This is how you create a platform that's truly open. Okay, so we're all on board. We need events. But what actually makes an event a good event? What makes it useful and reliable and easy for other developers to work with? Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Generally, events fall into about 4 main buckets. You've got your standard lifecycle stuff: created, updated, and deleted. These just track the basic state of something. But that 4th type, action, that's where things get really, really interesting. This covers any other important business moment, like an email sent or a page published. Now, to make these events truly awesome, there are 5 key rules to follow. First, the names must be in the past tense, like order fulfilled, because you're reporting on something that already happened. Second, and this is a big one, the payload must contain the full entity after the change. That way, nobody needs to make a second API call to get the details. Third, it should have a sequence number to make sure things stay in the right order. Fourth, for updated events, you can optionally include which fields changed. And finally, deleted events should include the entity that was just removed. It just makes cleanup so much easier for everyone. Let's look at some real-world examples to make this concrete. Notice, these aren't just generic updates. They are really specific business moments. An email opened by member event is way more valuable than some generic email updated. And product price updated. You could build an entire app just around that one trigger. It's this level of detail, this specificity, that makes domain events so incredibly powerful. All right, so we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get to the how. How do developers actually create these events, and then how do other services and applications listen in? And the great news here is that we've made exposing an event incredibly simple. For a developer, it's basically a 3-step process. You just annotate the event in your service's main definition file. That's usually a .proto file. Then you specify who has permission to read it, and that's it. From there, the platform just handles the rest, automatically making it available through all the right channels. So once an event is out there, it can be consumed in a few different ways. For our own internal services talking to each other, we use a message bus like Kafka. For any external third-party apps, they can subscribe through standard webhooks. And for custom code that you write right on the site, you can use Velo to react to those exact same events. So it's one event powering multiple different integration points. It's really flexible. And you don't have to worry about memorizing all those rules we went over. The platform gives you client libraries that handle all the boring stuff. These tools make sure every single event you create automatically follows the guidelines. So it's really easy to do the right thing and keep everything consistent across the board. Okay, now let's pull it all together. We've waded through some of the technical details, but what is the actual real-world impact? Why does this one architectural pattern unlock so much creativity and innovation? Let's just take one single, well-designed event. Product price updated. I mean, it sounds so simple, right? A product's price changed. Big deal. But just stop and think for a second about what this one little event enables. This slide right here, this is where the magic happens. This perfectly shows the multiplier effect. That one single product price updated event can spark a whole ecosystem of innovation. You could have a developer building a price drop alert app for shoppers. A marketing team could create automated sales campaigns. An analytics company might build a competitor analysis tool. An operations team could connect it to their inventory systems. All of this built on top of one single event. And this brings us full circle, right back to our original mission. By providing these granular, meaningful events, we're handing developers the fundamental building blocks they need to create any business flow they can possibly imagine. We are literally removing the limits of our own implementation and just opening the door to their creativity. Now, one last point on good design. You might run into a technical limit, like a 1 megabyte message size, and think of it as a restriction. But I want you to try thinking of it as a feature. A size limit like that actually encourages good design. It forces you to ask, wait, has my product entity become way too complicated? It's a helpful little nudge that pushes you to build smaller, more focused, and ultimately more useful events. So, if you're going to remember just one thing from all this, make it this. Domain events are the engine of an open platform. They are what transform a static product into a living, breathing ecosystem, unlocking endless possibilities for customization and creativity that you could never have predicted on your own. And that leaves us with a final question for you to think about. As you go back to your own work, think about the events your system creates, or maybe the ones it could create. What amazing new business flow? What cool new application? What unexpected piece of innovation will your next event make possible?